This is the second tutorial video that covers Section 3 and 4 of the fiscal year 2025 Impaired and Impacted Streams and Watershed Survey. Please watch the first tutorial video for an overview of how to complete the first two sections of the survey. The third section of the survey includes questions designed to capture information about resource concerns as well as district activities and resource needs. Question 13 asks districts to identify up to 5 priority best management practices needed on specified impaired and impacted stream segments or within the watershed. Please connect intended BMPs to the water quality concerns you specified in the water quality concerns section of the survey. Quantity and units, cost, and funding source must be specified for each BMP. When approximating quantity, consider EQIP and Agriculture Cost Share Program application waiting lists or existing assistance requests, farms in the watershed area with unaddressed resource concerns as noticed on site visits or in review of aerial imagery, project lists in watershed action, restoration, or management plans. For cost estimates, you can base estimates on the typical cost for BMP implementation that you see in your county if it is a regularly contracted BMP. You can also base estimates on cost share rates for common components associated with these BMPs. Make sure to capture the resource concerns and projects that Agriculture Cost Share Program and Impaired and Impacted funds could cover. But if additional funding outside of those programs is needed for practice installation and projects, please capture that information too. Responses to this question can help the division determine where it might be beneficial to pursue outside grant funds based on significant resource concerns and funding needs. For this example, I'll specify livestock exclusion fencing, troughs and tanks, and heavy use area protection as priority BMPs. But I'm just choosing arbitrary quantity and numbers. You should be more specific in the estimations provided in your own survey submissions. For troughs and tanks, include pipeline when you're making estimations and other typical components associated with them. Just a quick housekeeping note, you may notice that this question does not have a red asterisk, and therefore it is not coded as required in the survey, so you can potentially successfully submit a survey response without filling out question 13. However, if you do, I will kick back the survey to you. We cannot accept survey submittals that do not have question 13 appropriately completed. It is a critical question for completion in the survey. I have not coded this question as required because it would require the full table be completed for all 5 BMPs instead of up to 5. So I couldn't submit, 3 BMPs here. It would require submission of filling in every single square in this table. So this is just a technical formatting issue through our survey provider instead of an indication that answering this question is optional. So again, be sure to complete question 13. It is required. I will follow up with districts and not accept survey submittals that do not have question 13 completed appropriately. Moving on, for question 14, respondents must specify the 3 most significant potential barriers or limiting factors for implementing best management practices and mitigating identified problems in the specified watershed. There are a number of barriers included in the drop-down lists, but you may also select other and specify a barrier that is not included. So I'm just going to go ahead and click the list for you to see the various barriers that are listed. For this example, I will select limited cost share funding and lack of cooperator interest in BMP implementation or management changes, as well as limited staff capacity for cooperator outreach engagement as the 3 most significant factors. Question 15 is similar to question 13, but it is looking to capture district resources and funding needs outside of BMP implementation funding needs. To oversee BMP implementation and to encourage BMP implementation in the watershed, districts may have additional equipment or capacity needs that they need funding to support. Please share those additional needs in this question. Responses to this question can help the division determine where it might be beneficial to pursue outside grant funds based on significant outstanding capacity or equipment needs. Again, similar to question 13, you may notice question 15 does not have a red asterisk and therefore is not coded as required in the survey. As a result, survey takers may be able to submit a response without filling out question 15 completely. DSWC will accept survey responses without question 15 being completed. So it is an optional question. However, if your district does not have capacity or equipment needs, it would be helpful to specify that it's not needed. If you do have capacity or equipment needs for work in the watershed, please fill in that information into this question. For this example, I'm going to specify the need for a rod and level and part-time staff capacity for education and outreach for cooperators. Again, this connects with one of the barriers to implementing BMPs, limited staff capacity for cooperator outreach and engagement that I specified in the previous question. Again, we do ask for your entire survey to be representative of specific problems and issues and solutions to those problems and issues that are identified. So be sure if you do specify things in previous questions that your answers to questions that follow interact with what has been previously detailed. So again, part-time staff for outreach, we'll say 100 hours total for $2,000, and a rod and level for surveying, one for a total of 1,500. Question 16 requires the survey taker to confirm if your district has outstanding agriculture cost share program requests in the watershed. It is not a requirement to have outstanding agriculture cost share program requests in the watershed for successful completion of this particular survey. However, to participate in the IISI program and to receive impaired and impacted agriculture cost share program funds, districts do have to have outstanding requests documented in the watershed by June 1st prior to the start of the fiscal year. And districts must affirm that in the strategic plan submittals that they do have outstanding requests in each of the watersheds where II funding is planning to be used. For this example, I will specify that the district does have outstanding assistance requests, so I will select yes. Question 17 asks if this watershed is prioritized in your district's ACSP ranking form. It is not a requirement for successful completion of the survey again, but the watershed specified in your response to be prioritized in the ACSP ranking form is a requirement for participation in the IISI program as a whole and to receive II funds in the upcoming fiscal year. To be eligible again for II funds, districts have to prioritize up to 3 watersheds in which they plan to use II funds in the upcoming program year through strategic plan submittals, and districts must also affirm in strategic plan submittals that these prioritized watersheds are prioritized in the local ranking form. This was a point of confusion for many districts participating in IISI last year. Prioritize impaired and impacted watersheds in ACSP ranking forms means that district designated impaired and impacted watersheds prioritized for that fiscal year are specifically called out and points are assigned for those watersheds within local ACSP ranking forms. This is so that any ACSP project in those watersheds ends up getting a slight priority for funding in the ranking process. Again, forms that assign points to impaired and impacted watersheds and then an equal number of points to all other watersheds in the county or huge basins that cover half of the county do not meet this policy, as they do not function to prioritize funding go towards ACSP projects that are specifically in these watersheds that the district is saying is a priority for practice implementation and has degrading and impaired water bodies and segments of water bodies in the watershed. Question 17 does have a couple of follow-up questions, so if you answer yes to question 17, you have to describe the IISI ranking criteria within your ACSP fiscal year 2025 ranking form. If you answer no to question 17, you have to describe the IISI ranking criteria that will be added to your ACSP fiscal year 2025 ranking form. You can upload a draft of your ranking form to question 18 if you would like to. You can simply make a note that this was uploaded in that section 17A that pops up. These follow-up questions, again, were added to the survey given the policy confusion last year Please note that ranking parameters giving points for work in a watershed with a 303D stream does not meet this IISI policy requirement, as you may have more than 3 watersheds in your county with 303D streams. So those are streams that are, again, impaired. That's what 303D means. Watersheds the district has determined to be priority for funding implementation in fiscal year 2025 has to be reflected in the local ranking form. I do double check that ranking forms have appropriate IISI criteria once they are submitted with strategic plan submittals. If your form does not meet criteria, your district will not be eligible for II funding for the upcoming fiscal year. A long grace period was allowed for fiscal year 2024 to make corrections to ACSP forms. A grace period of this length for form corrections will not be offered in fiscal year 2025. If you have any questions regarding the ranking form updates or would like confirmation that your local ranking form for fiscal year 2025 meets new policy, please contact the non-point source planning coordinator, Allie Dinwiddie. For this example, demo, survey response, I will select yes to question 17 and make a note describing the parameter. Again, if you answer no to this question, it explains everything that I just mentioned. But I will select yes, and I will describe the parameter that was added to the ROAN ranking form for fiscal year 2025. So you can see I've added that the form has a parameter that specifies this is a priority watershed for Ag Cost Share Program BMP implementation. It names the watershed by name and code, and it assigns 5 points. I will also plan to upload this ranking form to question 18 so the reviewer can see what this criteria that was added to the form looks like. Again, if you answer no to question 16, there will be a little thing that pops up that reminds you that your district is not eligible for II funds until you have outstanding requests in the watershed. I just wanted to show that while I was thinking about it. Question 18 requires upload of supporting documentation to demonstrate the resource and water quality concerns described in the previous questions. Up to 6 files, each 50 megabytes or less in size, are allowed to be uploaded. You must upload supporting documentation of resource concerns for successful survey completion, and the resource concerns must be evident and specified. Field photos are preferred. Aerial imagery and maps are also accepted if the resource concerns are indicated and evident. I have included examples of acceptable resource concern documentation in the survey itself, so I'll just go ahead and show that. These are field photos that were submitted and clearly demonstrate the resource concerns. Again, these are the first 2 are field photos. The last is an aerial photo, but it specifically calls out the issues and resource concerns that are being seen on agricultural land in this watershed. Last year, some districts just submitted a screenshot like this and didn't specifically call out the erosion issues. Please do call out specific erosion issues and the resource concerns if you are submitting aerial imagery. Again, field photos are preferred. So I will go ahead and upload some files here. I do just want to go ahead and do an example of what I've uploaded. So this is some example of resource concern that I am saying was found in this watershed. This is not the case, but this is just something that we had on hand to demonstrate this. This is also another resource concern photo that I have uploaded to this question in this demo. So again, you can see livestock access. Again, you'll notice that these resource concern photos connect with the BMP needs that are specified in question 13. So livestock exclusion, trough or tanks, heavy use area protection. It also connects with the items that are found in impaired and impacted stream segments and in the watershed, which is livestock access that was specified for question 11. It also connects with the water quality issue identified in question 9C, which was turbidity. It also connects with question 7, which asks for the primary agricultural pollutant contributors to water quality concerns in the watershed specified, so sediment and pathogens. So again, make sure that you are considering all of the questions that you're filling out in the survey and make sure that The information that you're providing for each question kind of connects to all of the other questions as a whole, represent the issues and the solutions identified for the watershed. Also, just I had mentioned for question 17 that a ranking parameter was included, and I've uploaded a form here to that question 18. The red text in that form showed clearly what the criteria was. I'll also update this because in that form I had 10 points specified for the watershed name and code. So that connects with that question. All right, the last section of the survey, planning and grant funding, is designed to capture background information that would be helpful for division staff to be aware of for efforts to secure outside grant funding. Question 19 asks if the watershed has received grant funding in the past for agricultural non-point source pollution prevention planning or BMP implementation projects. And question 20 asks if your district has shovel-ready projects in the watershed in need of additional funding. If you answer affirmatively to question 20, you will need to describe the projects. So I will select yes or no to question 19, yes or no to question 20. Again, if you select yes, will have to describe the project. For this example, I'll indicate that this watershed has not received grant funding in the past. Does the district have shovel-ready projects in this watershed in need of additional funding? I will select yes and describe the projects. Question 21 asks if there is local interest in working with neighboring districts or counties in pursuing grant funding for cross-county non-point source pollution prevention projects. Again, you can select this yes or no. If you select yes, that is helpful for us in again, knowing if there is an opportunity for multiple counties to pursue funding from outside grant sources for a particular BMPs or projects. For this demo, I will select no for this question. After you finish answering question 21, you can submit the survey. Once you hit submit, a survey completion page will pop up. From this page, you will have the ability to submit another survey response and print your submittal. Please note that your survey response will also be automatically emailed to you based on the email provided in the first section. You will notice the survey completion page also includes reminders about the process to successfully request impaired and impacted streams initiative funds for the upcoming program year. You'll find a scoring summary for questions 16 and 17. The scoring summary explains what I previously discussed, which is to be eligible to receive II funds. New policy requires districts in their strategic plan submittals for the upcoming program year to prioritize up to 3 HUC 12 watersheds, affirm that there are outstanding agriculture cost share program assistance requests in those prioritized watersheds, and affirm that the watershed prioritization is reflected in the district's local ranking form. Again, outstanding requests and prioritization on the local ranking form is not a requirement for successful completion of the survey, but it is a requirement for successful requesting and allocation of II funds for the upcoming program year. With that, we have concluded our second tutorial video covering the last two sections of the fiscal year 2025 Impaired and Impacted Streams and Watershed Survey. Please watch the first tutorial video for an overview of how to complete the first two sections of the survey. Thank you for watching.